TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summit Mount Everest. They collapse on their backs in exhaustion. They look around at the breathtaking scene and take in the fact that they are further away from any human being has ever been from any other human being. But slowly, suddenly, something registers. Faintly at first, but it's getting clearer by the second. It's a noise. It's a voice. It's a chorus. So here we are once again on the Bits and Pieces podcast. For the first time in 16 years, we can finally say that the Royal Challengers Bangalore are champions. And for the first time, of course, in the illustrious history of this podcast as well, it is not ended in tears for RCB, where no man has been able to go for 16 odd years. The women of RCB have managed to go and actually bring the title home. So here we are to celebrate RCB's victory soon, minutes after the WPL final where they won. And joining me, Nitin Sundar today, is Max Da Vinci, Varun Murli, and Bro T brother Tariq. So I'll start off with brother Tariq, who's been going to these games. He's gone to a bunch of the WPL games in the last few days. Tell us, Bro T, how has the atmosphere been and how did you enjoy RCB's wonderful win today?
I think I enjoyed RCB's wonderful win very, very much because I think I'm surprised myself as to how emotional it is right now. So when I messaged you saying that I needed to dry some tears, that was not entirely a lie. But there are kind of reasons also because some of the cricketers who I'm a huge fan of are part of this RCB setup. So it was kind of great to see them being vindicated that way or to be winning. That's one. Two, in terms of the attending the matches, when you say a bunch, I attended about exactly 4 games in Bangalore. 3 of them RCB games and one which was the opener, that was Mumbai and Delhi Capitals, which incidentally turned out to be a great game actually, because it was that last ball Sajana 6 that actually sealed the win for Mumbai. I think atmosphere-wise, it was pretty incredible because at the Chinnaswamy, even for a neutral game like Delhi Mumbai, there was a huge crowd. Everybody was kind of getting behind the players quite a bit. And for the RCB games, it was absolutely off the charts because the first one that I went to, unfortunately, again, RCB happened to. No, I think the first one RCB won. The second one they did not, but both games were jam-packed. The RCB MI game had an insane atmosphere, which is something that you expect at the Chinnaswamy. But I think what we have also seen, or what I hear from people who have attended the games in Delhi, because I've only seen them on TV, is that even the crowd in Delhi has been just as rambunctious and vociferous, to use two patented Shashi Tharoor words. But it's been super fun to kind of get into that. Let's say, swept up in that wave of excitement, because everybody seems to be coming from a place of genuine organic excitement about watching. And everybody, I think, kind of realizes they're watching a different game than watching, let's say, what it would be like in an IPL game, and responding accordingly, which I think was a great thing to watch, because I've been to IPL games also, and then this was my first set of WPL games in person, because last year was in Mumbai, so I couldn't attend any. But I feel that the crowd really got into it, plus with the local support for some of the players who are part of the RCB setup, for example, was also great to see. So all that combined, it felt like that this tournament, that is the WPL, has come into its own, at least from an on-ground perspective. And then when you kind of see, I don't know, we'll know that TV numbers in a while, but they seem to have registered higher viewership. So nothing like it. And I think we had a bunch of close games as well, good quality games as well. That has helped. So I'm absolutely brimming with excitement, because I've always wanted to see women's cricket come to the forefront. And I think finally the larger audience is kind of waking up to it, so which is great. Like and the cherry on top is obviously the RCB win.
Yeah, so I must clarify that the whole Mount Everest thingy that I read out was not written by me. It is something that Cartographer, one of the many bits and pieces panelists who shared on the WhatsApp group, and I shamelessly flicked that because I did not have an intro into this podcast. But like you mentioned, Broti, the tone for this WPL was set in that opening game itself, and like you mentioned, lots of close games, starting with that very first game. Max, are you surprised that RCB have won pleasantly, or do you think they were, one of the stronger teams in the field? They barely made the final, right? They had to scrape their way through into the playoffs also, and here they are with the title. So,
I mean, in the final, like always a big fan of Elise Perry, and as well a fan of Jemima Rodriguez. So, for me, it was, as long as it's a good game, anyone can win. I'd be happy for both sides, as long as it was not MI. So, RCB did everyone a great service with that game. So the final was just fun for me to watch. And but yeah, RCB, I mean, the last 4 games that RCB has played in this tournament have, they've punched up and done really well, you could say. Where they lost to Delhi by 1 run, that Richa Ghosh 50 a game. Then they beat Mumbai, which was a complete Elise Perry show. She took 6 wickets and scored 40 in that game. And then the game against MI in the eliminator, where again it was all Elise Perry taking them to 135 after losing 3 wickets. And then now in the final, it was fitting that Elise Perry was again there, in that final chase. And because it was the very same precarious situation, right? Because Mumbai was also 83 overs, 20 to win. And that's when they lost, when Harman, instead of doing the thing what Elise was doing today, just taking singles and knocking it off, she went for that shot of Shreyanka Patil, I think.
It was Shreyanka.
And got caught. And same thing could have happened today, but Elise Perry is the absolute legend that she is, just made sure there was nothing. So, funny story. A friend called me up who is a RCB supporter, and he was yesterday like, finally, I'm going to watch a final wearing my RCB jersey. I got a jersey and all of that.
Finally, we made a final, basically, is what he's trying to say.
I get to wear my jersey around. But he's not a supporter. He's not watched many games now. He's a supporter of the franchise. That's all.
Yeah.
So he's watching, and so I called him and said, buddy, Sala Cup Namdu. This is like 5-6 overs to go. And it's like, thanks, dude. By the way, this Elise Perry is some great player. Looks like, is she like a is she like a Virat Kohli or something? I said, no, dude.
No, she's winning. Like, she wins finals.
Exactly. There's a huge difference. Shruti Mandana is probably more in your Virat Kohli mold. They both wear an 18 jersey. Yeah. But it was just surprising, right? They're so happy, like they can just wear a jersey and watch a final.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know how much what that feels, because the franchise that I support in the IPL is in almost every final, so it's not a big deal, I guess.
Weird flex. Okay.
Humility.
We win 50% of the finals we're in.
Yeah.
So, but happy for guys like Tariq and Samir Mohan, who is not on this pod. And 2 weeks ago, when he was on the pod, I said that he would be crying on the 10th of March,
which is true.
Which happened, right? They lost that game to Delhi, but he's not on the pod today.
Yeah, but he's in tears today as well, for different reasons, happy reasons, must be said. We always fall into this trap of looking at the women's game through the prism of the men's game, and why not? Given that it is a sausage fest here, as always, we unfortunately could not get women to join the pod today. But that said, this point that you raised, Max, I think the fact that these franchises are basically named, they share their names with the men's IPL franchises, I think that actually has helped the tournament in a sense, because the fan bases have maybe seamlessly, there's already a ready-made fan base for an RCB or for Delhi Capitals or Mumbai Indians who show up and root for these teams, right? And I dare say we might not have had this kind of a reception for the tournament last year as well as this year. This year has been a complete revelation, right? Especially at the Kotla, to see the grounds getting sold out is quite something. Bangalore, you can still understand. So I want to bring VaMu in here. VaMu, what are your thoughts here? How much has the WPL benefited from the fact, from the rub-off effect of the IPL, and also the fact that it is held before the IPL, and hence, it happens at a time before T20 fatigue really sets in into the summer? And how much of that is not true? How much of it is, this is a standalone property that has great legs to go, very long in years to come?
I think it's a standalone property in my view. I think this tournament, like last tournament, we all got the feeling that it was put together like last minute, more as an afterthought, etc., and more as an experiment to see how it would go, etc. This season, like everybody was given reasonable lead time, the scheduling, etc., even the auction, and I think that showed in the quality of the tournament. Like last season, like a lot of games were very lopsided. You had like two teams who were just like much ahead of the rest of the pack. This season, while Gujarat Giants were probably not at the same level, I think they were still giving a run for the money for even to MI and Delhi. But yeah, it's been a phenomenal tournament. I think the length of the tournament also has been uh, like short, but reasonable enough to sustain everybody's attention, in my view. And yeah, I think phenomenal tournament. I think RCB in a weird way have benefited from the tournament moving to Delhi. The slow, low wickets suited them. This was a franchise which really struggled with their spin bowling last year. They bought in both Sophie Molyneux and George Wareham as part of the auction, and they completely turned things around. Like after Bangalore, whether RCB would qualify or not, was debatable. But as Max mentioned, Delhi leg, they have been absolutely phenomenal. I still remember the last game, Max had come out with this thesis about is pressure, how is this franchise crumbling all the time at 39 for 4, is pressure a thing, etc., and stuff like that. But kudos to them. I think they've really turned it around. And as much as I would like to call it a team effort, it has not been. I think Elise Perry has carried them, to be honest. It's just been like a superhuman effort from her.
Ellis Perry continues to carry cricket teams, hockey teams. She plays multiple sports, right? And also now women's Premier League teams. But it's a good point about, how we say RCB Legacy, they always joke and all that. I think the good thing about this inheritance, so to speak, where this brand has been inherited, an existing brand, only the good stuff has been inherited, not the luggage or the baggage of whatever, has gone before. So good in that sense, I guess, for all teams, and great for RCB. Now, does this then mean that 2024 is the year of RCB? We are 1 week away from the other half of the T20 season. So, thoughts?
I would not be that optimistic. In the excitement of this moment, it's easy to think that, it looks like everything is coming together. But there was this viral tweet recently of somebody who tweeted saying that, hey guys, I think my life is about to come together. I can smell it. And then a day later, the same person quote tweets that and says, sorry guys, I didn't know what I was smelling, but it is not coming together. So I don't think RCB are really in the running. I would be tremendously surprised if they really made a title run in the IPL. And before we kind of go around the horn on this, quick addition to VaMu's point about the tournament itself and the popularity. One other factor I think which was important in bringing people to the games was the fact that it was priced extremely reasonably.
Yeah,
I think 100 and 200 rupees were the tickets everywhere, including Delhi. And that certainly made the case that so many people could buy those tickets and come, and great views and stands which are selling at the same price. I think this is something they should capitalize on, and this is something that should be what propels the game forward if they move on to an entirely home and away format and things like that. Because
what do you mean? 80% tickets were not reserved for KSCA members and associations and all of that nonsense?
Amazingly not. Obviously, there were certain tickets that were reserved and so on, but it was nowhere close to the IPL thing. Initially, I think in a couple of games in the Chinnaswamy, they had a few stands that they had blocked off. They had not even opened on Book My Show.
Yeah.
But what they did was they did a very interesting thing of letting those other tickets get sold out, and then they were opening like the next stand. And in some cases, like a little bit of a dynamic pricing that they're sort of increasing some stands to 200 if the 100 wallet stands got sold out. But I think again, because the quantum was small enough, I think a lot of people, because just as an eye test, the first day that I was there, I was just generally looking around and kind of trying to think of, does the crowd look any different than what it would look during an IPL? And it most certainly was, because there was a lot more diversity. I could see a lot more kids, probably a larger proportion of women, definitely. And day one was very, very interesting in the sense that the people we were sitting with, there were about 20 or 30 people sitting there who looked like a big group who had come together. They had not actually come for the cricket. They had come because their friends were background dancers to SRK in the opening ceremony. That was the reason they were there.
Wow.
But almost 15 out of those 20 people stayed till the end of the game, because the game became absorbing as it went on. So I think that was like a first-hand experience of what it could become.
And how was the crowd management and all? Like, first of all, were the tickets online tickets, or did you have to?
They were online tickets. Yes.
Excellent.
They were online tickets. Plus, the crowd management generally was fairly good. I think we had a little bit of a wait time outside, and you have the standard, you can't carry this or you can't carry that, all of those things. But I would say, on an average, it was probably marginally better than how it was during the World Cup. And even in terms of the facilities and all that, it was at par with what was there during the World Cup, from the drinking water to the washrooms, to everything, like all the basic facilities that you need for somebody who's come with a family for an outing in the evening to watch a match like that. So I think that way they've done a decent job. But again, the bar's set so low that it's like the high jump record in the pre-Dick Fosbury era.
Wow. What an analogy, Sergi. So as we close our thoughts on WPL, one question to all of you. What is the one big moment that you remember from this season of WPL? I'll start with you again, Max.
I think for me, it's been Richa Ghosh, the finisher. And, some of the innings she has played been fabulous, like under pressure, even though apparently it doesn't exist. But then, her innings coming down there and always, on the ball from the go. I think she's been tremendous. And I would have liked to see a lot more from Jemima. I was hoping this would be like her, orange cap kind of a season. But that didn't happen. But yeah, Richa Ghosh has been fabulous for me, at least.
Excellent. Varun?
I mean, for me, the moment was when Richa Ghosh botched that chase after getting RCB close from nowhere. Actually, I think I think those. I mean, I just felt so sad to see, because Richa Ghosh, to be honest, has carried this franchise in the early part of the season, getting the team to scores when their batting had just gone missing. The one other person that I would really like to call out is Asha Shobna. I think her performances when put under pressure have been immense to watch. I think there have been at least 3 games where she has bowled some big overs and has come through, and she also seems like a person who likes to talk the big game. Actually, I think she confidence comes through.
Yeah.
The Indian team has a vacancy for a good leg spinner. I think you'll probably see her going and playing for the Indian team in a short while. So yeah, I think these would be for me the two standout like moments and the players of this WPL for me.
Lovely. Brother T?
Okay, so Max and Varun have picked the couple of them which I would have mentioned as well. So I'll just go off track a little. Two things stood out to me. One was something that I did not watch, which was Ellis Perry's six first spell, because it was sort of after the fast and I had dozed off. And I kind of woke up in the middle of that nap and checked the score. And Mumbai were like some 90 for 8 or something like that. And said Ellis Perry is 6 for 15. And I went back to sleep. And then I woke up again and I was wondering that was that like a dream? Like, how is 6 for 15 even possible? And then I went to watch the highlights where she looked like taking a wicket every delivery. But apart from those, and I know all of the moments so far chosen have been RCB, so I'll go a little sidetrack and say I always enjoy watching Shika Pandey get a wicket bowled. There is no better sight in women's cricket, I would say, than watching her running at full tilt and bringing that ball in and getting that bold dismissal. It's just fantastic to watch. I'm a huge fan of Shika Pandey and of this moment in particular, and there were quite a few of them in this tournament. So if all of those are probably my standout moments.
Interesting. I'll go for, I didn't watch much of the tournament, I must confess. The few things that stood with me or have stayed with me, one, I really watched Marizanne Caps bowling for the first time closely in this tournament. And I really like how she has that high bun and that open chested action. It just looks very nice. And but for me, the high point of this tournament was the opening game, the way it ended. Sajeevan Sajna on debut, right, comes out to face the last ball. I don't know how that happens. You send out someone on debut to face the last ball of a match with 4 to win, and she ends up hitting a 6. Yeah, I think this tournament was destined to be a big hit the way that first game ended, and it was very heartening to see. From that day onwards, it just kept going up and up. There's so much of buzz around this tournament, and I think the tone got set in the first game itself. But yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful WPL, and hopefully this tournament now arguably has got off to an even better start than the IPL did all those years back. A couple of fantastic seasons, and also the length of the tournament is short, sharp. There's no flab at all. Quickly gets to the business end, and it's fun. I hope it keeps growing in size. And well, once again, looking at women's cricket through the prism of men's cricket, because why not? The RCB women did what the RCB men could not do for many years. Maybe the Indian women will do what the Indian men have not been able to do for many years, which is win an ICC trophy this year. There is a Women's World Cup that happens, I think, in September in Bangladesh. So if the men don't deliver the goods in the West Indies and the US, we can put all our eggs in the women's basket and hope that they do it. So any other thoughts on WPL, guys, or we can?
Well, I think what you are wishing for, Nitin, is the road that passes through WPL season 2, because the extremely improved performances of the Indian players in this tournament augurs very well for that. So let's hope that works its magic.
Indeed. Very quickly, guys, silly season is upon us. It starts in 5 days' time, and the next episode of Bits and Pieces will be after the first weekend or midway through the first weekend of the IPL. But wanted to quickly get your thoughts. I'm sure we'll have a lot of nonsense on the podcast in the coming weeks. What is the one thing you guys look forward to in the upcoming season of the IPL? And I'll start with whoever wants to go first. Top of the mind. Don't think too much. Yeah.
I'll go for it. Whatever ads Dream 11 is going to come out with next, because they've already started with a great one. So IPL, as you know, is ad season. I somehow I've kept saying that IPL is like our Super Bowl, so I kind of look forward to the ads.
Okay, Dream 11 ads. That's something to look forward to. VaMu?
So I'll go for something on the field of play. I am looking forward to the 2 bouncer rule actually this season. So it's going to be seen in T20 cricket for the first time, I'm very interested to see how that changes death bowling in particular in T20 cricket.
Shreyas Iyer doesn't like this. Okay. Max Da Vinci.
I'm looking forward to 3 things. One is Gambhir back in Kolkata and what that does to the team. The other one is Hardik now going to Mumbai. What that does, and then as usual to see if the RCB team does anything even remotely interesting, or we just have to see another year of CSK in the finals. So yeah.
Well, CSK have been alternating in the last few years, so they either win or they don't even reach like anywhere near the playoffs. So let's see what's in store this season, given they won last year. I have a couple of things as well. So
just
go on.
go ahead.
No, go on.
No, I just wanted to say, as like a closing this thing, as a closet RCB fan, I mean, I feel for Parth Jindal. He's had a horrible last 24 months. I think last WPL final, Delhi went and lost. I think the SA T20, I think again the Delhi team was in the
Pretoria Capitals.
Pretoria Capitals. The IL T20 again, if I'm not mistaken, the Parth Jindal team went to the final and lost. Even in the Major League Cricket tournament, Seattle Orcas, I think Parth Jindal has some ownership, if I'm not mistaken. Parth Jindal or one of the Raos. So again, they went to the finals and lost. And again, this is another final loss for them. So like, yeah, he's had it like, I mean, really bad in the last 12 months.
Parth Jindal is that legend who explained what Delhi Capitals means, right? In that video.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
It is inclusive. Capitals inclusive. This is also just bad karma. But he's actually happy that you've been kind enough to only say that he's had bad 12 months or 24 months. Let's not forget that Delhi Capitals, much like RCB, has been in existence for many, many years and haven't won jack shit. So this now leaves only Kings 11 Punjab or Punjab Kings or whatever you want to call them, and Delhi amongst the old-time T20 teams in India that have not won anything in their history, right? Because RCB have now got off the mark. But yeah, hopefully their luck will also turn in a couple of months. Let's see. I have a couple of things that I look forward to, and the first one, of course, has to do with Delhi Capitals, which is Rishabh Pant's comeback. I remember when Pant had his accident on our WhatsApp group, we obviously were all quite shocked. And then news started trickling in about, how severe it was, also about how he's sort of recovering and trying to get back into action. And Varun Murli was very, very optimistic about Pant making it back to the Indian team. Actually, at one stage, you were confident he might even come back last year itself, right? And I was at the other end of the spectrum. I said, I really doubt he'll ever come back into top flight cricket. But here we are. So VaMu has been proven right, and I'm very happy that he has been proven right. Pant is back. They're saying that he's ready to keep also, but I do feel that at least in the early part of the season, he's going to play as a specialist batsman. I really look forward to seeing what he brings to the table. And this is like Yuvraj Singh coming back from cancer, right? It really doesn't matter how successful the player is going to be at this stage. We're just happy to see him back on the field. And anything from here really is a bonus. But given the standards that Rishabh Pant always held himself to, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back close to what he used to be, right? So
Please don't add more coal to the Varun Murli hype train. Okay, this closet RCB fan apparently an hour ago said that Delhi have enough. Okay, so
please explain that, Vamu.
His optimism and all, we should probably take with a truckload of salt.
For the benefit of our listeners and viewers, midway through the WPL final, Vamu predicted that Delhi has enough runs on the board. And then he went surprisingly quiet on the WhatsApp group. Please explain your stance.
No, I didn't go quiet in my defense. I thought like till the 17th over, RCB were watching it. I just expected like Ellis Perry to get out then. I mean, in many ways, it was very similar to the Mumbai Indians case against RCB, right? I thought like RCB should have gone a lot harder in the initial phase of the innings. I think I just felt like Ellis Perry just bailed them out. I don't really think it was a great chase, especially from Smriti, the way she went about her innings, basically.
Fair point. The other thing I'm looking forward to in this IPL, especially after Devon Conway got injured, there was this question about who's going to open for CSK, and lots of people expect Rachana Ramchand to slot in there. But in the back of my mind, I thought there is this person who comes in at number 8 or number 9 who is not really contributing much with the bat. maybe this could be a chance for him to roll the years back, go to the top of the order, and do what Sunil Narayan used to do for KKR. Just go after the bowling, blindly for 5-10 balls, create mayhem. You fail, it doesn't matter. You succeed, it doesn't matter. You're playing as a pinch hitter, and nobody cares if your wicket is lost. Will MS Dhoni move up the order? Maybe open innings, maybe come in at number 3, unleash some mayhem, or not. But it'll be box office, whatever that guy does. So I look forward to seeing Dhoni batting, and I think one last time. I don't think he's going to come back next year. Even by Dhoni standards, I don't see it stretching into one more season.
Unless he is in touch with whoever runs the TV12, the Tom Brady program, and says like Tom Brady, I want to play till my mid-40s.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. But he's already there. That's the whole point. He's almost mid-40s already. So it's not even a joke. I know it's 42. I mean, what the hell? He'll turn 43 midway through the tournament or by the end of the tournament, right? So, yeah, what a story. But yeah, let's see if there is another story that he's building.
No, I think he's pushing himself because next year is the full auction, right? Then they can buy back Faf du Plessis and he can happily sit back and relax.
So you think he's doing a holding job? He's been doing a holding job by winning 3 titles in 6 years. That's a good holding job.
Yeah, this 3-year loan program that they have done for RCB, is coming to an end this year.
Anyway. Any other thoughts, guys, on IPL, WPL, anything else that you guys want to talk? Wanted to keep this short because we also spoke to Rachana earlier today. Actually, I should put one lead in for that also, which I'll do. But yeah, anything else?
I just wanted...
Okay.
Go on. So I just wanted to add in terms of the WPL, again, I mentioned it earlier that it was great to see all these Indian players who have sort of come up. And one of my favorite things has been, I'm not as avid, let's say, a follower of women's cricket, especially if it is off the international stage, because I'm not as up to date with all of those. So finding out a lot of these stories and the backstories of some of these cricketers is absolutely incredible. We have seen, I think, Saima Thakur in UP Warriors. We have seen Shabnam Shakil in the Gujarat Giants, who are possible future superstars being groomed out here. And they seem to have all the confidence in the world coming into a stage like this and doing what they did. So that has been a great revelation. You mentioned about Sajjana coming and hitting that first ball 6 and a debutant coming in and doing that. But then the most amazing thing was to discover that she has been doing it in domestic cricket all the time. So, you kind of know where that confidence comes from, that she comes in and whacks Alice Capsey for a 6. So I think that aspect of the WPL will be the most captivating. And the more these stories come out, I think the base kind of builds from there. So I just wanted to add that.
No, I wanted to say something on the very same lines. Is these stories is what makes it so much fun. I mean, everyone knows what a Smriti Mandana or a Harmanpreet or Capsey or any of these big stars are going to do. But it's when these stories of people from places where you don't expect frontline cricketers to come from. Like Tariq mentioned a few. The other one is Meenu Mani. For Delhi Capitals, and her story coming from Kerala, and the whole floods thing and all of that, and then she getting to play under Meg Lanning, getting mentored by Meg Lanning and all that. That augurs so very well for the game. And even in the men's version, right, it's those stories that I always look forward to and see where it's going, where you have some young kid and who comes in, deer in the headlights kind of thing. And you have Dhoni sitting on one side, you have Virat there, and some of the stories, some of them make it, some of them don't. But it's always interesting to see those. And whenever a lot of these, like Jaiswal was one of the ones that came up, one of those stories. DDP also was one of those. There's also the ones that we like to make fun of, but I like to focus on these. And it's fabulous. We're getting more of these.
Indeed, talking of cricketers emerging from unexpected corners of the world and making waves, while we've been doing time pass on bits and pieces, one of our panelists, Rachana Ramchand, was in Nepal for a couple of weeks as part of the Cricket Beyond Borders, Cricket Without Boundaries program, where she was coaching school kids in Nepal on cricket, and we have some of her experiences as well, which we will plug into this episode. Yeah, guys. So we'll close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right.
Unless you want me, Bro T and VaMu to go one by one every IPL team, we can do that. But then we'll be recording for 2 more hours.
We had an
Sorry.
epic.
We will rerun our old episode. We still have it.
Same crew is there.
Same panel. I'm just there as the totally clueless about whatever it was that you guys spoke about. No, we are all set for silly season. From next week onwards, we'll be talking about jerseys, team songs, ads, strategic timeouts, 2 bouncers, everything other than the cricket, the gossip, whatever. So it is very gratifying to get a good-natured and serious, or rather, I'd say a straight episode of Bits and Pieces out of the way, where we only good vibes. We are also celebrating RCB, which we don't expect to be doing from next week onwards. All good stuff today. RCB fans, sleep well, enjoy the rest of the week, and good luck for what comes afterwards. So, on behalf of the entire crew, this is Nitin signing off. Say bye, Max, VaMu, and Bro T.
See you all.
Bye, everyone. And in case anybody was curious, the other form of Sala Cup Namdu is Sala Cup Namdu. That is, the cup is ours this year.
Oh.
Bye.
While the rest of us on the Bits and Pieces podcast are busy doing time pass, cracking bad jokes, and gently pointing fingers at things that are not working well in cricket, at least one of us, and that's Rachana Ramchand, has been up to some very, very constructive stuff. So Rachana has been in Nepal coaching a bunch of kids as part of the Cricket Without Boundaries initiative. And she's just come back after, a couple of weeks in Nepal coaching. Yeah. And it's we all feel very proud to know Rachana and to know the sort of experience that she's sort of gone through. I'm sure she's also carried the flag of Bits and Pieces high in to the Everest summit itself. So we have Rachana with us on the podcast to briefly share her thoughts, reflections, and everything that she's been experiencing in the last few days. So over to you, Rachana, to start with. There's something that I am very curious about. So what coaching experience do you have prior to this, and how did you become even eligible to be a part of this initiative?
This is a great question. What a terrible first question, because the honest answer is I have absolutely no coaching experience. As you both know, I love watching cricket, and I've been very passionate about women's and para cricket for a long time now. I was actually introduced to Cricket Without Boundaries by someone from the podcast, Srinath Shripath, and he said that, Rachana, you should check this out. And I was like, listen, I can barely play. I've never coached. Are you sure about this? I mean, he was like, yeah, why do you have a conversation with them? At least it's a conversation. And I truly believe they selected me based on my sheer enthusiasm. I remember walking into, the coaching training camp. So we had a weekend where we were coached as both cricketers and as coaches. And I was the least experienced of them all. I did not know how to bowl. Okay, I have not played growing up. My only playing has been with my brother in the streets. And, I was always like basically the 12th person. If they had run out of batters, then they would give me the bat. If there was like an over where they just wanted to hit, some sixes, they would come and I would just chuck the ball. They would invite me and I would just chuck the ball. So I literally learned how to bowl that weekend. But it was an intense training weekend. And I had this realization that, yes, you don't need to be a great cricketer in order to be a good coach. I hadn't really seen it in practice. There were like some instances over the coaching weekend where I was like, okay, I can do this. But yeah, as I said, I was the least experienced out of everyone. We had someone who was a 100 player. We've had my head coach is the national coach for the Rwanda cricket team. We've had someone who's played for MCC Foundation, people who worked with the ECB, sitting on boards of, Essex Cricket Club. And there was me. My only claim to fame is this podcast. And so So
great.
yes, off I go to Nepal, and yeah, so that's essentially how I was introduced to the opportunity. Yeah.
And where in Nepal were you based out of? Where was the entire coaching camp?
So to talk about the Nepal coaching experience. So I was in Nepal for just over 2 weeks, and we were based at the border of Bihar and India, actually. So it is there are two towns where we were based out of, Biratnagar and Rajbiraj. Rajbiraj in particular is a very small town, small population, and it's the flatlands. It's not the mountainous part of Nepal. So a lot of people think, that we've been to like some pretty places near Everest. No, that's not the case. We were in a very fascinating part of the country for sure. But a place where, its proximity to India leads it to be a place where you see a lot of cricket being played. And some interest by the girls, but definitely, wherever you go on the streets, boys are playing cricket. So in terms of and maybe I'll talk a bit about, Cricket Without Boundaries and how it operates. So Cricket Without Boundaries, so funded by the MCC, Marleman Cricket Club, MCC Foundation rather, to deliver, to promote gender equality in cricket to various associate nations. So these include, Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, and Nepal was the first country in Asia. So again, a place where cricket is definitely growing, and there's severe gender inequity in the country. So the idea is, one, to promote cricket there, to go to schools, to play cricket with the girls and the boys, and then also to just have those conversations with them about, so a very simple question, which is what we would we would have a card which had true and false. Girls don't play cricket because they are not interested in playing cricket. Is this true or this is false? And then boys are like, it's true, girls aren't interested in playing cricket. But then you would ask the girls the question, is this true? And they're like, no, we're very interested. We also want to play. Why don't you play? And so many different answers emerge, right from boys don't invite us. We're at home working with our moms, helping out in household chores. Our teachers say girls shouldn't go out and play cricket or shouldn't be playing sport. And so then, along with the coaching, we end up having a lot of these conversations to talk to them about, why is it that things are different and should they be different between boys and girls? So we break it down to very, very basic, very simple levels. But yeah, in terms of the sessions, if I were to take a step back and think about Nepal and like my 2 weeks, so, every day we would start about like 8 a.m., end at 6 p.m., visit 4 to 5 schools on average.
Okay.
Each school, we would coach about 100 to 150 kids, sometimes even more. And this would be done between 3 to 4 coaches. So that itself was, an intense experience.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, like I, at any point, was managing the lowest I managed, I think in a session was like 20, but went up to like 60, 70, 80 students at a time. And I think that itself was an experience for me. It's like, how do you like coach, 60, 70 kids and the risk of them being potentially unruly? And I think this, so
I'm sure bits and
something that
pieces has trained you well being on this podcast.
yeah, bits and pieces has trained me very well with like 8, 9 people jumping in, jumping to speak. But no, trust me, honestly, this was, it was intimidating at first, but then easier than anticipated. And I think, as I was saying, one of the big realizations was you don't need to be an amazing cricketer to be a good coach. And coaching is so much about the planning, the management, the execution. Like planning in terms of how many students are going to be there, how big is the ground? Do you even have a ground? Or is it just a small space? How much time do you have? How many other coaches are going to be present? Do you have local coaches on the ground as well? So for example, if we're going to be running a bowling session, now I know the bowling action, but I probably still don't have the confidence to demonstrate in that moment. And so I will probably then leverage either, one of the local coaches or one of the kids who maybe, let's say one of them is able to bowl. So then you'd make the plan around the coaching session, and then in those moments it's about figuring out whether you want to run. I take 30-40 students and I do 3 to 4 different drills, or with the different coaches, I take 30 students this round, then move them to the next drill.
Wow.
And then I continue doing the same, do the same drill.
And what kind of drills? What kind of drills would these be? Like very basic, like how do you literally turn your arm over? What is the process of bowling? That level, almost.
Yeah, it's a good question again. So obviously, there are different aspects to cricket, right? From batting, bowling, fielding, etc. So we would go through different kinds of drills, okay, or different kinds of activities. So there may be a catching one, a bowling one, a batting one, a throwing one, okay? And when we talk about coaching, there are different styles and people have different styles. But what used to be more prevalent in the past is the explicit kind of coaching, which is basically, haath seedha, this is how you bowl, do this, do that. And then there's more implicit kind of coaching where you try to speak as minimally as possible. Doesn't always work, but you attempt to do so. And you ask the kids the questions and how can you do this better? So just to give a very simple example, we would do catching practice. So you usually start off with an introduction, who I am, what my background is, and very, very briefly. And, today we're going to be doing some catching. Okay, everyone get into pairs and start throwing the ball. So I think this initial part is very critical, where you're observing the students. What are their levels? And then you ask them to then stop and you ask them a few questions. Okay, was that easy? And they were like, yeah, that was so easy. Many kids will say that. I was like, but I saw some of you drop the ball. Why do you drop the ball? And then get them to answer the question that, I missed it. Maybe my hands weren't together. It slipped out of my hands. I was like, okay, so how should your hands be? Your hands should be big. Okay. How should you be standing? Should you be standing in a savdhan position, hands straight, or should you be, how should you be standing? So you bend your legs, give yourself maximum flexibility. What about the motion of your hands? And then most importantly, what about your eyes? Where should your eyes be? Always on the ball. So while they're doing, while they're practicing, I will probably run between the practice. I'll do a little bit of a dance. I'll be like, don't look at me, ignore me, keep catching.
Eyes on the ball.
And so keep your eyes on the ball. So once you've done a few drills, a few rounds, always end with a competition. It could literally be the same thing that you practiced, but a mini competition, because it just pushes anyone, not just the kids, pushes the person a little bit extra. And so that's how you would think about a coaching session. And the fundamental principles of coaching, for the way the ICC talks about it, is to ensure that the coaching session is safe, inclusive, and fun. And it applies even at the most professional level.
Yeah.
Okay. When you are thinking about a drill that involves everyone, inclusivity is the most important part of it. You can't just be practicing, catches with the wicket keeper and then the others are just dilly-dallying away. No. How do you figure out activities or drills or games that involves everyone? And I think in cricket, I was like, how do we do this in batting? And there are actually lots of games that we do incorporate in batting, putting the balls on tees, putting the balls, stumps on the tee. So where you could try out different shots. You put a bunch of tees, so small cones rather, and get the kids to angle the ball in a certain way, so that ensure that the ball goes here, if it passes this particular mark, you get 1, you get 4, you get 6, things like that. So we were also quite we were quite creative, or we could be quite creative with the games. And I think that for me was something that's quite important, because I remember there was this one day where I did 8 consecutive sessions of throwing the stumps, run out practice. And that gets monotonous. Okay. And I think by the 5th or 6th session, I was just making my own rules. So for example, like I remember there were some 45 kids that I was managing, and there were not enough balls. There were like 15 balls. So, you divide it and you have the stumps in the middle, and you have like 22 kids on one side, 22 kids on the other side. One side has the balls, throws the stumps. But if you have a group of boys and girls mixed, most likely the boys will take the balls and then they will hit the stumps, or attempt to hit the stumps, and the girls don't get that opportunity. So then changing the rules around. Okay, so first round, only the girls throw.
Right.
The first time I did this, I was nervous. What if the girls don't manage to hit the stumps? And this, proves a boy's point that we should be, the ones having the ball. But every single time I ran this where the girls took the ball, they ended up performing as well or even better than the boys. I think it was, probably just a little more, taking more time, a little more focus, because not like this is a very difficult task, right? And it's not, and as you know, this is not about speed. It is about accuracy, right? And speed is something that can be developed. I mean, it's a lot about the positioning, but I think accuracy is something that all of them do get.
Yes.
And that's when the boys were like, oh, the girls are not bad. And so it became a more inclusive game after a point. So yeah, so it was something that is just so core to how we think about coaching, to make sure that the inclusion and the fun element is incorporated in the game. And also for us, how do we make it more fun for us?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how a session is constructed. And yeah.
So from being shy at the stumps, the girls were able to have a shy at the stumps, right? That's basically the transformation you brought about. But being someone who makes up for a lack of talent in most things with a lot of energy, I would assume that this particular sort of session, right, or 2 weeks that you had, you also had the task of getting people who normally don't play cricket based on where they geographically are, and also, it's not considered a sport for women in that sense, right? So how did you sort of make sure that you're incorporating or inculcating some joy for the game in them beyond the training itself? And maybe if you can tell us some stories, really, I mean, any particular example that you think of, some one day where a girl or a bunch of girls did something that'll be nice.
I'll think of some specific examples, but I think a lot of it is actually in the communication.
What language? What language were you even using to communicate? Because does Hindi work over there? Or?
Yeah, so I think I was probably in a better position than the other coaches. So I was the only coach of South Asian descent. Everyone else was white. And again, it's not, when I say communication, it's not necessarily the language part, because they understand English, or we have local coaches who can translate, but it's what you say. And what is it that, again, would catch the attention of the kids. So there were some schools, like an example. We went to a deaf school. We coached at a deaf school, and there even I can't communicate. But so my introduction is always, my name is Rachana, and I say this in Hindi. I can actually attempt to do my introduction in Hindi.
Please go for it.
It sounds horrible because my Hindi.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. मेरा नाम रचना है. मैं क्रिकेट का कोच हूँ लंदन में. मैं इन सबके साथ एक कोच हूँ, पर मैं इंडिया की हूँ. मेरे पेरेंट्स इंडिया के हैं, इसलिए मुझे थोड़ी हिंदी आती है, पर मैं साउथ इंडिया की हूँ, इसलिए मेरी हिंदी अच्छी नहीं है, पर तो माफ करना. तो हम क्रिकेट विदाउट बाउंड्री से है, और हमारा आकांक्षा, हमारा विश है कि एक दुनिया में लड़का और लड़की एक साथ खेलते हैं. We believe in cricket for equality. And so that's how I usually start a world, a vision where girls and boys play cricket together, and we are the same. And so that introduction.
Intro sorted, by the way, for the episode. By the way, on this, at least on this Zoom, you are easily the best Hindi speaker. So please don't be shy about your Hindi. Yeah.
As two boys who are worse at Hindi but are much more confident about speaking Hindi.
Exactly.
You should. It's a perfect metaphor for.
So yeah, that's the communication aspect. And keeping things fun is actually keeping whatever game we choose something that anyone can play. It's a skill that is replicable across sports. So one thing that we're also very clear about is that, this is not just about cricket. This is about other sports, other physical abilities, and more generally, other life skills. So, when you have catching games, when you have batting games, and everybody loves swinging the bat, even if they've never held a bat before. And, we've seen that, I saw that quite a few times that the girls, like, we would have a batting game and then the boys would go first. And then I'd be like, no, we'll have a girls' side batting, boys' side batting, and we'll go alternate. And the girls were like, oh, I was like, okay, I'm going to nominate one of you as the captain. Who wants, or you tell me who's going to be the captain. And so it's things like this that just, one person steps up, and even if they've not held the bat before, it just, because of that power that's been, bestowed upon them in a way, it just leads them to swing the bat a bit harder. So it's a combination of things like this. And then we, as I mentioned, we always end it with the conversation. So we have these cards where we have, true or false. And as I mentioned, one is girls don't play cricket because they're not interested in cricket. Another card is girls don't play cricket because they are weak. And sometimes, rarely you'd hear people say it's true. I remember there was one school where the boys were like laughing, and I was like, no, girls can also play cricket. We're strong. Look at me. And then I would also talk about my own journey, that I did not play cricket as a child, but I always wanted to. I was like you girls watching the boys play, wanted to be invited. And I'm just so happy to see that girls are now playing today, and that you are all playing and you're doing so well. There's a lot of these, just, being some positive affirmations which do help. And then asking them, and then you go into like more difficult conversations as well. So another card that we have, which I think is so important, is girls don't play cricket because they are teased while they are playing cricket, or they are teased or bullied on the way to the ground. And it is, and most of the time the girls say this is true. The boys are like, not true, we don't tease. And I'm like, girls? And they're like, this happens to us. And then I'll ask the boys, what can you do about it if you see a girl is being bullied? And sometimes, many times they don't say anything. Sometimes they'll be like, we'll invite the girls to play cricket, which is a great response. We'll help them play cricket. Again, a good response. I remember my favorite answer, though, this boy, 11, 12 years old. And I do this again in Hindi. And he responded saying in Hindi, ki, I will invite them, kyuki unka bhi adhikar hai to play cricket. And I was like, just blown away. Such a beautiful response, the way he said, unka bhi adhikar, ladkiyon ka bhi adhikar hai to play cricket. It is a girl's right to play cricket. And that for me was a moment that, I made everyone clap for him. I don't know if he just said it. I don't think he just said it, because I think at that age, it's not that this is a thought that has been commonly said to them, at least based on, my interactions with them. But yeah, this was for me this for me was a very strong, a moment. It was a moment for me, an impactful moment. There was another, there were obviously, moments in cricket, when you see someone after a couple of tries doing a perfect bowling action, and also I will mention that it's not that all of these girls were beginners. I think that's a very important part. So many of the girls were playing at, a regional level, a province level. There was one girl, her name is Sakshi Yadav. She's 13 years old. She's playing at the province level. Her brother, Vivek Yadav, actually plays for the Nepal team. And she gets a lot of one-on-one coaching from him, just a lot of one-on-one coaching. But without fail, she was at every community session with us. So at the end of the day, at like 4 p.m., we usually run like a massive session with 150, 200 students from all different schools to just come and spend time with us, and we do game. And she was there without fail. And I was asking one of our head coaches that, why does she come for all of these sessions? Like, she's just too good. And then, Sarah, the one who played for MCC Foundation, she was like, I used to play cricket professionally, but at that time, I was just, again, one of those, just one of the few girls. So she used to play in the boys team, basically. And whenever there were girls who got together and played, it didn't matter what level. you were just there. And Sakshi Yadav was also playing that role where she was, helping the other girls, coaching them, working on the action. So part of coaching is also identifying, like, if there will be kids who will get bored. So then how do you use those kids in a better in a way that can work for the rest of the group? So you make them mini coaches. So there were like moments like this that that stood out for me in terms of players who wanted to coach. I also remember talking to this other boy who was not a very good player, and but he was like, but I love watching cricket. I love watching WPL. We were talking about our favorite players and all of that. And I asked him, but cricket you don't have an interest to play? And he's like, no, I like playing TT, and I'm not very good at TT either, but I managed to get like 15 to 20 kids, and getting them together and coaching them in a way. And I was like, see, that's the thing. To be a coach, you don't need to be a great player. I am not a player. It's quality. If you love cricket, there are opportunities for you as well to be involved in cricket in different ways. So we have a change makers program with Cricket Without Boundaries, where we identify, talent around 15, 16, 17, and they are kind of like assistant coaches in the session. So they work with the local coaches on the ground to help bring the girls, to help set up the space, run some simple, easy drills. So there are opportunities like that. So yeah, a lot of conversations that so I think the impactful part were the stories that emerged and the discussions that you end up having with the students. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a learning opportunity all round, right? Because you yourself said before the throwing drill, you weren't confident if the girls will be able to hit the stumps. And then, it's a wow moment for everyone concerned when you actually see that, they're doing just as well as the boys are. So when is your next coaching stint going to be, Rachana?
So I'm actually pursuing my level 2 coaching with the England Cricket Board. It starts next week formally. Okay. And so I will start coaching more formally in the UK. I'm very curious to see how that is. I think in terms of the age group I'm comfortable with, I think it's the 10 to 14 years old. So that's going to definitely happen. Cricket Without Boundaries keeps running 2-week programs across our different markets. So I think I probably will go on one next year. This is something that's just pure, voluntary from me. So I do have to take time off work, and I do have a day job. So yeah.
Fantastic.
So, but within the program itself, is there something that they do to make sure people continue to play even after the program?
Yeah. So a large part of what we do is coaching the coaches. So when I say we're running the sessions, it is also for the coaches to see, the local coaches on the ground who we've selected, to see how we run the sessions. So there are, I would say, 2 different categories of coaches that I interacted with. One were people who have some decent cricket skill, but aren't, very technical necessarily, and who are there because they really want to do something in women's cricket in particular. So there's this person, I think he's in his 60s or 70s. His name is Dharmendra Bhai. My white colleague could not pronounce his name, and she kept calling him Dimitri. So we just know him as Dimitri Bhai. So he apparently some 40 years ago was a fast bowler for Nepal. And he's very passionate about girls cricket. So he's a mentor, he's a coach with them. But I think, he is someone who would really benefit from our style, some of our more innovative methods. And when I say our, I think it's just the access that we have to a lot of, good training material and things like that, which they don't have. And, we are delivering that to them. So that's one camp of coaches. And then there's another camp, which are people who are like young people playing semi-professional cricket at the district, state level. And I worked with 2 cricketers who wanted to be coaches, but I didn't have a good experience with them at all, because they were not interested in coaching the kids. They just wanted to they were also fairly young. They wanted to do their own thing. And I think they realized that probably coaching is not something for them. There were examples of people who are good players and who also were interested in coaching, and so that entire mix was there. And so working with them, delivering training programs for them, which I wasn't directly a part of. But these are all aspects, that to ensure that the coaching continues. And so we pay them. So Cricket Without Boundaries pays them, hires these coaches to go to the schools, and we provide funding to, run tournaments across our markets. So when I was there, there were, I think, four tournaments that were run. I umpired for 2 of the tournaments, 2 at a district level and 2 within a district, 1 at inter-district and 1 within the province. They have a weird structure. So all of that funded and supported by Cricket Without Boundaries, Parliament Cricket Foundation, and the last cup that I was at was called the Equality Cup, and I think it's such a wonderful name. And excellent talent we saw in those matches. So it's great. It's great to see that it's happening and this continuation is happening. It's not just about us going there, playing some cricket, going back. No, it is so important, as you said, Tony, that this goes on, this continues, and when we go back, the level is even better. Like that is the goal for us. Yeah.
Super. Maybe finally, what was your own experience like? I mean, Nepal is not, or this particular place is probably not on anyone's destination list per se, right? How was your experience with the whole sort of, 2 weeks there?
As a place, it is very similar to India for sure. I haven't been to Bihar, but I suspect, or I've heard it is very like India. Food is incredible. It was tiring. Our days, as I said, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come back, the first thing you want to do is have a beer and drink and eat a lot. So it's not a place that I would necessarily, say, tell people that you should visit. But I definitely have a soft spot for it, obviously.
Nice.
One thing I will mention, though, that, the inequality is not just there in terms of gender, but it's a very caste sensitive country as well. And I feel even more so than India, maybe because it is Hindu, it's a Hindu dominant country. And so every school I went to, the moment the kids realized that, I was a coach along with the other coaches, the first question they would ask me is, what caste am I? Which was a difficult question. I didn't know how to answer that question. And I would give, very flimsy answers saying that, I don't have a caste, or the place I am, we don't believe in caste. Caste doesn't matter. And these weren't the best of responses. And yeah, it took me a while to figure out. Now I do have a response, so it's a bit late, but yeah, it was definitely quite eye-opening to experience that.
Hey, what is that response?
Yeah, the response that I would have wanted to give was, do you like me? Do you want to be like me? I assume that they'll say yes. And at that point, so would it change how you are with me if I were to tell you my caste? Or would you still want to be like me if you knew my caste? And especially when you have such a short span of time, this was one of the answers that I felt that could have delivered some message.
I think in an alternate universe, there is a Bollywood movie similar to Swadesh, except it will be called Our Game or something. Yeah. And you'll be the protagonist who leaves a job from London, goes and settles down in Nepal. And in that case, who would you want to play your character? Let's put this out there.
God, why?
We're giving free ideas away to Netflix and all of those things. But
yeah.
Oh my God, I don't have anyone. I don't want to say Tapsi. I don't want to have. I will respond after the pod. I will respond.
We'll ask Nitin Sundar. Nitin, who do you think should play Rachana's character?
I think Rachana can play herself. Absolutely.
I would say mine.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Therefore, we're giving the ideas and the talent. Come on, where are you, film?
Where are you, Netflix? Sign the deal already.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's
Yeah.
one last incident that I wanted to just share very briefly. I was talking to two of the change makers, 16, one is 16, one is 19, and asking, we were just talking, what do you do? What do you do? They're like, they're going to college. I was like, what are you studying? And they were like, they're studying management. And I was like, oh, मैंने management की है. I also did management. And they were like, oh, कहाँ पे? And I was like, I studied abroad, but मेरा सब कुछ undergrad, postgrad, वो सब कुछ इंडिया में किया. They were like, और आप कहाँ पे काम करते हो? बैंक में काम करते हो? And I was like, yeah, something like a bank की जैसा. And they were like, आपने management किया and you're working in a bank in London, so it's possible for us also. We also can one day work outside.
Lovely.
And I was like, this is the power of representation.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, the kids, I guess, related to me in a way that I was neither here nor there. I was a part of the coaching group, but I was also someone that they all related to. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Superb. Yeah. What a fantastic experience. I'm sure it was very impactful for the kids to see someone like you as part of that coaching group. I think the Zoom is almost done, but we're also done, so we can just quickly wrap. Thank you so much, Rachana, for taking some time out after your wonderful trip to Nepal. And Rachana is going back to the UK today. And if any of our listeners are interested, please check out Cricket Without Boundaries. See if you can also contribute in many ways with your time, with money, or just with positive vibes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you. Bye.
Nice. Bye.